Hey guys,
I'm Ricky,
and I'm Bree.
and no matter how we're feeling,
We're gonna be dramatic about it.
Okay. I feel like right now we're overthinking it too much, and now we're not having fun anymore.
Yeah, we are. Don't even say
And
that.
I like having fun, but apparently you don't.
Fuck right off, you fucking ugly bitch.
Ugly?
Yeah.
You know what I have to say to that?
What?
Hey, bitches! Yeah.
Take it back.
I put the words back in my mouth.
Hey, bitches.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Happy Wednesday.
Yes, it's a Wednesday again, finally. It's time.
I'm wearing pink, and you're not.
I'm wearing, this has got red on it.
That's not pink.
Okay, well, some might say. You know what? If you think about it, you wear pink every week because your headphones are pink.
Yeah, I do.
OMG.
And your bracelet has pink, so we're fine.
Oh my gosh, mine does. It has hot pink and
Yeah.
not as hot pink, but yeah,
See,
pretty.
We're fine. It's okay.
We're girls.
Yeah. How was your week?
Not really a whole lot to report for this week. I didn't really do a whole lot this week. Except for I did, have you ever heard of the Fear Street movies that came out on Netflix?
I have been telling you
Okay, I'm sorry.
to watch these.
This is so embarrassing, you guys.
Since it came out.
Yeah.
Since like 2020?
2021.
2021, I told you, bitch, go home and watch that shit.
Well, the thing is like,
because we binged all of them.
I remember seeing that they were happening and thinking like, oh, I should watch those. And then I just forgot about them.
I love them so much.
Yeah?
My lady bits get excited when I think about
That's fucking weird if you've seen the movies.
I'm just like, I get so excited for them. They're so good. They are probably some of my favorite like horror like movies.
Yeah.
So good.
Somebody, either it was you or someone else, reminded me about those existing, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I haven't watched those.
It was me.
And so I was
Me and Bailey.
I went home and I don't remember what day it was, but I ended up sitting down and I was hoping to watch the one that had Max from Stranger Things in it.
Sadie Sink.
And I was excited thinking she was in the first one. She's not. She's in the second one. And I was like, oh, should I just skip and watch the second one so I can see my girl? And then I was like, no, I feel like I have to watch them in order.
You do.
So I watched the first one.
The 80s one. It was like 1984.
No, 1994.
94, yeah.
1994, and then there's 1978,
Yes.
and then 1666.
Yes.
And so I watched 1994, and I was surprised to see Robin Buckley, I think her name is maybe. Oh my god.
Yes.
No, it's so not.
It's Robin.
Her name in Stranger Things is Robin.
Oh my god, it is. It's okay. It's
I don't know what her real name is. I'm so
yeah.
sorry. I love her so much. But she was in that movie, and I didn't expect it.
I love those movies. Okay, so what one was your favorite?
I've only seen the first one. Because this is what I was going to tell you.
How did you not watch all three in one day?
This is what I was going to tell you, was that I watched the first one, and
I'm pressed.
I'm
panini pressed.
Shut up. I think that's so fucking funny. I love that so much.
I love Gypsy Rose.
I do too. And I think it's really messed up when I see TikToks of people forcing their eyes to look cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Or licking their lips a lot like she does. All the things that she does, like she has, making fun of it.
That is something.
I think it's really
that's not cool. Like, sure, what happened is really fucked up. But what she went through is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
she's doing so much fucking better than I would be if I was her.
Like, she went through some shit that nobody will ever understand.
Yeah.
Ever.
No one could ever understand that.
So, not excusing what she did, because that's fucked up, not okay.
Right.
But she went through some shit.
Yeah.
And for people to be shitty to her, I don't know.
I mean,
like
especially because she was in jail.
Yeah.
She did serve her time.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people might think that she didn't get enough time. Whatever. She was in jail. She served time. And I feel like
she did what she was supposed to do.
Right. She deserves, I feel, a clean slate.
A second chance.
A second chance at life. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that she's doing is the kind of mistakes and like silly, quirky stuff that we all did growing up and learning.
And that's the thing she didn't get to learn. She didn't get to make these mistakes. She didn't get to do the shit that she's doing now because a good chunk of her life. Her entire life
was stolen from her.
Was stolen from either her mother in that situation or jail. So now she's finally free. Let the girl live.
Exactly. And stop making fun of her. It's like, stop with the eyes thing, really, and the licking the lips thing. It all really, I just think it's all really messed up, because her eyes are messed up, and her lips and the mouth thing, that is all,
it's fucked up
because of what she went through, because of the horrible stuff that her mother put her through. This is what her body is now because of that.
Take it or leave it.
Exactly.
And literally just leave her the fuck alone.
Yeah.
That's it.
She's been through enough, you guys. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody here that would make fun of her watching and listening, but yeah.
If you are one of those people, bye.
It's just not cool.
No.
It's not cool. We don't really support any kind of bullying in any way, shape, or form.
Especially that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, any kind. But anyways, that
was seriously, a little bit of panini pressed is so iconic.
I literally
so
love
iconic.
that. That will be my daily language now. I'm going to get Kaylia to start saying that to Anna.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, you have me so panini pressed right now. She'll say it. Guaranteed. And Anna...
almost just missed my mouth, and that would have been so bad. This would have just poured all over me.
And Anna, if you're listening to this, let us know if she's told you that she's panini pressed by now, because this is in the future, and who knows?
Yeah,
I'll get her on that bandwagon.
Anna, shout out Anna.
Yeah,
freaking love you. You're such a cutie. Obsessed with that girl and her babies.
The best.
She's such a sweetie. I'm glad I got to see her like not at pitch dark time where she was just lit by the fire. Because like, wow, she's really pretty. And I thought she was pretty the first time I saw her too, but I was like, wow, this girl's gorgeous.
She's a gorgeous, gorgeous girl. So why didn't you watch the other two movies?
So I watched the first one, and I finished it around like 7 or 8 o'clock at night or something on a Sunday.
Oh.
And so, you know, after that I was finishing up laundry and like my last few things before going to bed. And, you know, I just went to bed. Fucking had nightmares. Literally had nightmares.
You were a child.
I am a child. Okay.
Well, let me tell you, my favorite one is the second.
Okay.
My least favorite is the last.
Really?
However, it ties everything in very well.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
It is really good.
I'm excited for that. I really did like the storyline of the first one, and I thought it was really cool how they did it. The second one, obviously I haven't seen it yet, but I am excited for it because it's set like in 78, which is going to be cool. And then also Sadie Sink is cool. And if Stranger Things has taught us anything, it's that at least some of Netflix knows how to do a period piece.
Fuck yeah, they do.
With how they did the 80s, and Stranger Things was so great. So I'm hoping that you can really feel that it's the 70s.
You can. Very 70s summer camp vibes.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
So good.
But yeah, I don't even remember specifically what my nightmares were about. I just remember waking up a couple of times like, no, I'm okay. I'm in bed with my husband. I'm fine.
Child.
Going back to bed.
Child. And 7 years old.
I didn't tell Corey about it for a few days because every time I tell him that I had scary dreams, he's like, honey, you have to stop watching scary movies. Like,
just do what Bailey does and put something funny on after.
No, normally, like, you know, especially with this, it didn't really scare me. It wasn't like it wasn't like,
it's not horror, gory, awful. Yeah, like a typical.
It was giving kind of like Scream vibes.
Yes,
it was kind of funny.
I think that's why I love it.
I know
so much.
I also really liked. There's a guy in the movie named Simon, who was he was the blonde, kind of scraggly hair. Skinny white boy that they were running around with the whole time. So
I've watched these movies like 10 times.
I loved him so much. I might spoil something, so if you haven't seen it yet, you should watch it before or skip forward a couple minutes here. But I just love the part where he and like they all go into their separate bathrooms to change, and then he comes out and then everybody realizes that everybody fooled around, and he's like, did everybody go to Pound Town? Because I did too. Because he jerked off looking at himself in the mirror. That is so fucking funny. I was like, this guy
you would do
is so unserious, and I am here for it. I fucking love him. And then he died.
It's sad.
But it's okay, because, I mean, they can't continue on with the characters. It's going backward.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, I'm excited to see how the next one goes. I'm excited to see how it all wraps up in the end. I'm just pumped. I'm excited to finish them. Yeah.
So good.
I'll probably watch another one this weekend. And then maybe stretch it out and watch another one next weekend or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Let me know. Well, we'll chat. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I will keep you posted as I watch them.
So, for this episode, I think you should explain kind of how we got to this idea.
Okay. So, spoiler alert, my ignorance is about to show, and I claim that. I accept that. It is okay. I am not going to be stubborn and stay in it. That is the point of today.
But let me just interrupt you for a second. I was ignorant to these things as well prior to having a child.
Yeah. So last night I was on TikTok and I saw this video of this girl who looked probably in her, I would say early 20s is what I'm getting the vibe of.
Yeah.
And her cheeks were like shining wet from how much she was crying. And she was holding a baby. And my first thought was, is the baby dead? And I know that's morbid.
I thought the same thing.
I don't know. There was something with the color of the baby's skin that I was like, is there something wrong with this baby?
And the baby was very still.
Very still, like a doll. And I was like, what is going on? And then his little finger started moving. And I was like, oh, okay, so why is she crying? I don't understand. You've got a perfectly happy, healthy baby. Why are you sad? And then I opened the comments and everybody's talking about like, oh, babe, postpartum depression is so real. I'm so... I've experienced it too. You're so valid for feeling these feelings. It's okay. You're strong. You're going to get through it. And just remember that your baby, all your baby sees and all your baby knows is that, like, that's my mom, and I love my mom, and she does so much for me and whatever. So like, I just saw she was responding to a bunch of these comments, and I was just like, okay, so it's postpartum depression, but I'm like, I just didn't understand it. I was like, why? Like, you're fine. You're healthy. Your baby's clearly fine.
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? I just need to be educated on this because I've heard people talk about it a lot. And so I've never tried to say that it's not valid because I mean, I would never try to invalidate someone's feelings.
Right.
But I just don't fully understand it. So I asked Bree, did you experience postpartum depression? And she said,
you can read. Oh, I can read the text.
Well, she had said, yeah, essentially. And I was like, well, I was thinking, you had said you wanted to do an episode about mental health, especially about what you experienced after having a baby and whatnot. So I was thinking if you wanted to, for the next round of episodes, we could do a whole episode where you kind of educate me on postpartum depression, what that means, what that's like, and teach me and anybody else that doesn't know about it.
I was going to say, I think it's really beneficial to talk about these things because it's something that TikTok has brought in like a platform to people or given a platform to people for them to kind of talk about these things now and kind of like shed light on it, where before social media was so big, it wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
It isn't something that you hear a whole lot about, even on TikTok, unless you're on like Mom Talk or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be beneficial not only to educate people, but also like partners that are going through having new children or just new babies.
So you mean like the partners of the mother that are experiencing postpartum depression? Yeah.
Like I think...
Because I feel like if I'm not fully understanding it, I can only imagine that some of the... like, for example, the dads in
I know
these
Bailey
situations,
didn't.
I don't want to just like generalize it and say dads, but like, I feel like most of the time it's going to be a dad that doesn't fully understand it. And I don't know if that's insensitive to say.
No.
But because I'm thinking like, well, what's the other option? It's another mom or another parent. Essentially what I'm getting at is just that the partner
to the mom, the new mom.
Yeah.
The new mother.
Sometimes they don't, if I don't understand it, I can imagine that sometimes they're not fully understanding it, or to the point where it's like toxic and they're invalidating it.
Right.
And so I feel like it really could help some people.
So what is your biggest question that comes to your mind when you think of like postpartum anything?
I guess I think my biggest question is just, how does it happen? Like, why does it happen?
Sure. So when you're pregnant, you have all these hormones in your body, and, you know, it kind of builds up over time, and like your hormones just are crazy. And you have this baby and all of your hormones drop just like that.
Okay, because the hormones are there for the baby?
Yes.
Okay.
So after giving birth, hormone levels drop rapidly, which is the biggest hormone change in the shortest amount of time that humans can experience.
Wow.
So the drop causes mood swings, tiredness, depression. The changes occur because the body produces estrogen and progesterone. I don't know how to say that properly. During pregnancy to support the health of the mother and the baby. But everything,
so once that's no longer needed, it just drops.
In 3 days, it returns to your baseline. Unless you're breastfeeding, which I am, so I'm still not at my baseline.
Wow, okay. So that huge jump is what causes a lot of these
To my
issues.
understanding, you kind of build as you go further along in your pregnancy. And then, you have your child and it's like just straight down.
Yeah.
Over the course of 3 days. So I guess I'll talk about like how there are 3 types of postpartum depression, or just like postpartum depression. So there's like postpartum.
What does partum mean?
So post is after, partum is active giving birth or like childbirth.
Okay, so after the birth happens.
So there's postpartum depression. There's postpartum blues, which is also known as like the baby blues. And then there's postpartum psychosis.
Okay.
Which that's a little bit more rare, but it does happen. And then I know some people will say too that there's like postpartum rage.
Okay.
Which is a real fucking thing.
Okay.
That's a real thing. You lose it real quick. But I guess I wanted to kind of just talk about like my birth story and kind of how like I got to where I was, and then I would just kind of explain everything else. Is that fine?
Sure.
So when I had Rowan, I was induced on October 10th because I had symptoms of preeclampsia. So my blood pressure was really high. My liver enzymes were high. Like everything that they test for in your blood was elevated. I had the headache. I had the high blood pressure, the swelling, all of the things that they kind of look for. So my OB was like, you need to go to the hospital. Like, go home, get your stuff, and go straight to the hospital. They're waiting for you, and you'll get induced.
Okay.
I was 37 weeks and 4 days. So came home, I got my stuff, I took a shower, I ate some food, waited for Bailey, and then we went to the hospital. And then we got there, and basically we had to talk to some doctors and stuff, and then they admitted us and like got us in a room, got us all set up. And then they immediately started like the first kind of like plan of action for them for my situation. So they started to ripen my cervix because I was not dilated at all. So I had a pill that I like took every few hours. What?
I'm sorry, I'm very immature. Ripen your cervix.
It's fine.
Just sounds really funny to me for some reason.
You're fine. So I took a pill for like 16 hours or something. It was like every 4 hours, and it ended up being 16 hours.
Were you at the hospital at this point?
Yeah, I was in the hospital in the most uncomfortable fucking bed. It was awful. But the cytotech started to make me really hot and like really uncomfortable because you kind of start to cramp a little bit, and it's kind of weird. And then they had came in and they said, okay, so the next thing we're going to do is it's like a balloon. From my understanding, it's like a catheter that they put into you to start to try and open up your cervix. Okay. They fill this balloon up once it's in your body with like saline solution. Okay. And the idea is that you will get to the point of like a 3 or 4 centimeters in your like dilation or whatever, and it should fall out. Mine did not do that. I had it in for like 12 hours.
Holy Hannah.
Yeah. And then like at that point I was really uncomfortable. It was a lot of pain, but I was doing just laughing gas. Like I did laughing gas for 43 hours. Once I couldn't handle that, then I switched over to like IV pain meds for only 2 hours, and then I had the epidural in for 5 hours, and then Rowan was here. So that's how long my like induction and like labor was.
Wow.
It was a very long time. So I had the balloon in, and I believe that was like 12 hours, maybe 16. I can't remember.
Okay.
That didn't work. So they had to take it out, and then they wanted to try, I don't remember the proper term for it, but it's like almost like a stick that they put into your cervix, and they put as many as they can in there to help open your cervix up so you dilate more. When they were trying to do that, I was starting to hemorrhage, so they had to stop, pull them out, and then they started me on Pitocin. And that's a synthetic drug that is like, it mimics oxytocin.
Okay.
I had that for, I think it was like 12 hours. I was at a 22, and I know after like 20, I think you have to have like doctor's orders to do that. Whatever. I was not dilating. I was a 1.5 for the entire time until the last 2 hours. I went from a 1.5 to like an 8 or a 9, and then I started to push when I was at a 10. So like it went fast once like I had the epidural, because you can relax and you don't have all that tension.
Okay.
Anyways, so had Rowan, like I found out it was like 6:50. They were like, you're almost ready to push. Like, do you feel any pressure? Do you feel anything? I felt nothing. My epidural was that good.
Wow.
It was amazing. I should have done it sooner, but I really wanted to try and go natural if I could. I went a long time.
Can I ask why it was important for you to like want to try to do it naturally instead of using an epidural?
I just kind of wanted to like feel everything and be aware of it, and I've just heard like very different things about like pros and cons to an epidural, right? Like the effects it has on your body, and how like there is a potential something can go wrong when they place your epidural, stuff like that, or the epidural might not even work. So, and I also didn't want to feel goofy. I didn't want it to affect Rowan. Like I was like, we're good. We got it. Mm-hmm. I made it 43 hours with just laughing gas. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, seriously.
But so they said it was like 6.
Really quick. Did the epidural have any effects?
Yeah. Well, that's when I started getting sick, and I don't know, I started puking. I literally started to throw up when they were about to place the epidural. And I think that was more so because my body was in like active labor at that point, because my contractions were like every 2 to 3 minutes at that point.
Okay.
And so I don't really know if it had to have been before that. Maybe it was more active labor than the epidural.
But there was like no like long-term negative effects after you had had Rowan and
just my back hurts.
Oh, okay.
My back hurts so much. Yeah. Yep. Like in your lower back, they make it so you're basically numb from like, I think it's like here down, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But so that's where they put it is sore. It's a little tender still. Sometimes even if like you push it or touch it, it hurts.
Okay.
But other than that, I was fine. It worked for me. I got Rowan out in 4 pushes. Wow. Took me like 10 minutes.
Okay.
The doctor, my OB, was like, be prepared to be pushing for a while. People push for like 3 hours. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm not doing that. And she was like, okay. You know, like I'm sure she was like, everybody says that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I got her out in 4 pushes. It worked. It was great. It was fantastic. And then she was here and it was fine. So
when you had the epidural and you're numb from the waist down, do you even feel the fact that you're pushing?
Yeah. It's really weird because you're like numb.
So you feel the muscles doing what they're doing, but you don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like you feel like, even because my nurse had put me on like a peanut ball and was like flipping me back and forth and doing exercises, I could feel my legs moving, but I couldn't move them.
Wow.
And then you had to flip. It was like every half hour you had to rotate so the epidural would go to one side of your body.
Okay.
So otherwise, if you laid on like, let's say your right side for too long, you would start to feel stuff in your left side of your body, but not your right.
Okay.
So then you'd have to flip.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's so weird. It was insane. But I never felt the pressure to push. I never felt any of that. And I just did it. My sister told me to push like you're pooping and to grunt and not scream. So if you're having a child, do that, because I got Rowan out in 4 pushes. She was 6 pounds though, so.
Why not scream?
Because when you grunt, you're pushing. When you scream, you're not doing that. I don't know. It worked. It worked for me. Whatever. Yeah.
I'm just like imagining you doing
literally that. The second. So the first one, the first push I did that, and then the second push I busted out laughing.
Hold on. Yes. That's so fucking funny. Okay, so first push. Anything happen? Did she come out at all?
Yeah, like, I think her head was out a little more, and they were like, this is great, like, that's good job. And then they had to wait for my next contraction. Okay. Either for it to be over or for it to come so I could push again. I can't remember. But then the second one came, and I busted out laughing.
Why?
Because I sounded so fucking dumb. Because I'm like, venting? I was like, like, so I literally bust out laughing. And Bailey looks at me, and I look down at my doctor, and she's looking up at me, and she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just sound so dumb right now. And my doctor laughed, and she was like, okay.
That is such a you and me thing to just bust out laughing during something so, like,
so not serious.
Not laughing material. Yeah.
And then I was so like, okay, I'm sorry. And they were like,
okay, I'm sorry. We'll be serious, guys. It's a serious time, I guess. Oh, my God. Anyway.
And then they were like, okay, just wait now. And I'm like, sorry, I fucked it up. Like, yeah. And then so funny. I did the third push, and she was... Hold on. Okay.
Any Rowan happen at the second push?
I'm pretty sure she was out. Like, her neck was out.
Okay.
And it was so fucking weird. But the coolest thing ever, like, I probably am going to cry multiple times during this episode, because it's, like, the best experience and, like, the best thing that ever happened to me was having her.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so weird. So I could feel limbs moving in my body.
I'm going to throw up. Sorry, birth is beautiful and whatever, but
is.
The thought I get of, like, somebody moving around inside of you,
it's insane. So,
which you've already experienced for 9 months at this point,
but longer. This is different. This is like,
I know, because
she's swinging, she's ready.
God.
But anyway, so third push, I'm pretty sure I got her out. Like, it was like ribs, so her legs were in me.
Were the shoulders really bad?
I felt nothing.
In my mind, I'm thinking, like, the head is one thing, but the shoulders are wide.
Miss Girl had a big head.
Okay, yeah.
She had a real big head.
She does have a big head.
Mm-hmm. She got it from my mama.
And if you're listening, Rowan, we love you.
Literally the most. I have a big ass head too. It's fine.
Yeah, same here, girl.
So the third push, like, waist area, and then I could feel arms, like, moving and swinging, and her legs were doing the same thing, but her arms were outside of my body and her legs were inside of me. That's still
so fucking trippy.
It's so fucking weird. And I just remember taking it in because I had to wait until I could push again.
Yeah. So
and I
making a memory.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, okay, push one more time, like one more big push and we'll be good.
Yeah.
And then she's out and, like, you hear a little cry, and I'm just like, it was the best thing ever.
I love that little girl.
And then cutting the umbilical cord, Bailey did that, and it's not like what you see in movies. It's not just one snip and it's done. Okay. You have to cut at that thing.
Yeah,
like Bailey did it a few times, and
it's like a thick cord that connects to her belly button.
Yep, it's like how she gets her nutrients and everything. Like how
did they care where he cuts it, and if it's not close enough, they'll fix it?
They show you. They show you, and then I'm sure they do more after. I don't even know. Like, honestly, I don't even remember if she was on me when they cut the cord. I don't remember. Like, I was so much going on.
I just can't imagine most men being smart enough to know where to cut.
I'm pretty sure they held it like up and showed him, or like put the scissors in hand. Like, I don't know. They did something. He knew where to cut.
Yeah.
But that was so cool. And then they showed me my placenta too. That was really cool. They like opened it up and showed us how everything worked. It was really cool, actually.
I don't know dick about shit, but is the placenta like the sac that the baby is in?
Yeah. So you are supposed to, like, push that out too.
Because there's no need for it anymore.
I don't know. I didn't push. I'm pretty sure my OB pushed it out by pushing on my stomach.
Okay.
Because I bruised so bad, but they also have to push every couple hours after for so long to make sure you're not hemorrhaging and blood's, like, everything's coming out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I actually just saw a TikTok of I don't think it was Grey's Anatomy. It was some sort of doctor show, and their baby, this woman was having a baby and she was having trouble getting it out, and I can't remember exactly what was happening, but
they have to use the forceps on her.
There was another doctor that came around and started pushing down on her stomach while the other doctor was ready to, like, catch her, and the mom was pushing. So they're all working together to push this baby out.
I asked Bailey if he'll catch our next baby.
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if every OB allows it, but I know some will allow you to have like your partner catch your baby.
Wow.
Not catch your baby, but you know what I mean.
Just like
pull the baby out.
help
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could have reached down and grabbed Rowan, I would have.
Yeah.
I wish I could have. That would have been cool. I wanted to pull a Kourtney Kardashian. She did that with one of her kids.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
So I was on cloud 9 after I had Rowan. Like, it was the best thing ever. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep just because I was like, oh my God, what if she needs me and I don't wake up? I wasn't really stressed out about anything at that point. I was just so fucking happy.
Yeah.
And I think we were in the hospital for like a day and a half, 2 days after, something like that.
That's crazy. It's always blown my mind how fast they send new parents home.
We were in the hospital for 5 days total, and 2 of those days were just trying to be induced.
That's crazy.
Is that right? Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yes, 5 days total. And then we were released. We came home. I was so happy. I was so excited to come home. It was the best thing ever. Like, cloud 9. I can't even describe like the feeling that I felt in that moment. And then I had my checkup, and it was like the next day because I had to go in for blood pressure checks because of my symptoms and the preeclampsia and all of that. I didn't have preeclampsia in the hospital, but they wanted to make sure they had a good control of everything and try and see if they can start weaning me off of the blood pressure meds that I was on while I was pregnant. And my blood pressure skyrocketed. I had all of the symptoms. My legs, my feet were huge. I was so swollen. I was having troubles breathing, the headaches, vision changes, everything. I went into the doctor and they did a blood pressure check, and then they did my labs, and I had like post preeclampsia at that point. And they called me and they said, you need to go to the hospital right now.
Oh, wow.
And this was like a day and a half after being home. Like, we were barely home,
Yeah,
and then I had to go
that.
back in. And that, I truly believe that whole experience is what, and I could be wrong, but I think that's where my postpartum, and I had anxiety. I had postpartum anxiety, not so much depression. But I think that's where it came in for me, because I was so terrified. Like, my blood pressure was like 160 over 100. Okay. I had fluid in my lungs. I had all the symptoms, everything. It was terrifying. So I got readmitted into the hospital. I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to have Rowan there with me. I was able to, but then Taylor, my sister-in-law, had to be in there with me because Bailey had to go back to work. So not only am I in the hospital again with my new baby, terrified that something's going to happen to me.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I think these lights are making my eyes like really tired.
That's fine.
Because they're so fucking bright.
I know they are. They like dry them out almost.
Yeah. But it's funny because I remember when you were back in the hospital and you were with Taylor, and I was like, she's in the hospital again? Why is she in the hospital again?
So they had to do a magnesium drip, and that was 24 hours. And then they need to keep you for like another day or something like that after to monitor everything and make sure it worked, because otherwise they'll do another like set of that magnesium.
Okay.
The magnesium is horrible. Everybody said that. They were like, you are going to feel like absolute dog shit. You need to tell us if this, and this happens. It was awful. But so I'm dealing with all of these things. My blood pressure is not going down. I'm stressed out. Like, I was terrified that something was going to happen to me and I couldn't be there for my baby. Like, I was terrified, honestly, that like I would die because of everything, because that's how like serious they make it out to be, because it is very serious. It's one of the like top reasons, or the top how do you say that? It's like the number one reason
causes?
For it's one of the top causes of maternal death. Is like preeclampsia, posteclampsia, all of that. So I'm in the hospital dealing with that. My husband isn't there. Like, I'm crying all the time because I'm terrified of what's going to happen to me. Like, I need to have my blood pressure down, but I can't because I'm just stressing the fuck out this entire time. Anytime somebody comes in the room to talk to me, I just bawl my eyes out and I cry, and they're like, it's just the baby blues. You're fine. This lasts for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then you should kind of, be back to like normal. Like, this is okay. Like, you're fine. And they said if it goes on longer, then it's postpartum depression and you need to like get on some medication for that.
Wow.
And
okay.
so it was awful. And then my doctor, my OB specifically asked me on like the third day, she was like, do you think you're ready to go home? And I started bawling. And I was like, do you think I'm ready to go home? I don't think I'm ready to go home. Like, I was terrified to come home. I didn't want to come home.
Okay, why?
Because in the hospital, I knew that if something went wrong with me, everybody was there to make sure I would be okay. If something went wrong with Rowan or something happened to her, everybody's there to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have that sense of like security here at home. I was terrified to come home.
But you have Bailey.
He's not a medical provider,
Yeah, that's true.
So I think being in there really kind of fucked me up a little bit because I felt safe there for me and Rowan, and I didn't feel that here.
Okay.
Not that my home is unsafe by any means.
No,
but
no.
That's how I felt. And we came home, and I did not talk. Like, I didn't speak at all. And Taylor came home too, and like Bailey was so happy that we were home, and like I did not feel any joy. I just sat and held Rowan and stared at her and like could not talk and did not have like any fun. I just cried.
Wow.
And Bailey and Taylor were like, what the fuck? Like, what do we do? Like, how do we help her? And I'm pretty sure in the hospital they prescribed me some Zoloft, or it was like my next appointment after, just so if I needed it, I had it and I could start taking it to kind of get ahead of everything. I never took it. Never. I was like, I don't want to take it. I have been on antidepressants in the past. They didn't help me. I was numb. Like, I hated it. So I just didn't take it.
Well, I just want to say that I didn't know any of that happened. Mm-hmm. And I was very adamant, like, throughout your whole pregnancy that, at any point during this pregnancy mm-hmm. or after when Rowan's here, that you need me, I am here for you 100%. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm not trying to make it about myself. No. But I'm low key like, the fuck? Why didn't anyone call me? Because like, mm-hmm. I didn't have to be here, but like, I don't know. You bring out so much joy in me. Mm-hmm. I could have tried to do the same for you.
Right.
During that time. Which is probably harder than it, you would hope it to be. But I don't know. Like, it just would have been nice to be here to like help you get through that. So I'm really sorry you went through that because I didn't know that happened.
Right. I feel like, they say it takes a village, right? Yeah. To raise a child, to have a child, to bring a child into the world, everything.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't have that village. And not most of that was my doing because I didn't talk to like some of the people that were in my life. But the people that knew didn't support me. They weren't there for me. Like, I was very alone in all of this. You want people to come help you, like, take care of the baby and, like, so you can get some sleep because I was also terrified to sleep.
Yeah.
I was so scared to sleep because and even now, like, I could fucking cry just even saying this because I still have a little bit of that postpartum for sure. And I think maybe some of that's just being a parent and maybe it never goes away. I don't think it ever does. But like,
that makes fun. That makes sense.
Right. But like SIDS is a huge thing. Sudden infant death syndrome. Mm-hmm. And that terrified me that something would happen to Rowan, like she would stop breathing or something in her sleep and I would be asleep and I couldn't help her.
Yeah.
So for me, like I had to get the Owlet sock, which is that app that monitors like her O2 and like her heart rate and everything, the one that I usually have up on my phone mm-hmm. like this. And that gave me peace of mind because there's an alarm that will go off if anything drops. So like that made me feel better. Having her next to me in her bassinet, which that's pretty normal.
So if, for example, you said it's a sock that she wears mm-hmm. that's connected to an app.
Mm-hmm.
So if
and a little base station.
So if, for example, it does drop, mm-hmm. that means that she could be dying of SIDS?
So there have been people that will say that like SIDS was happening to their children. Like I'm in a Facebook page where people talk about this mm-hmm. and they've caught it, but you can't always do anything. Like, I think the one story I read, they thought it was like a near near miss SIDS. I might be saying that wrong. I don't know. Or near SIDS or something like that. But this baby, everything like dropped and the baby wasn't breathing. Because essentially what it is that something in their brain doesn't like remind them to breathe. So they just stop breathing is what they think. And that happened to this child.
Because they don't know for sure how SIDS works.
No. And there's all these things you can try and do, like safe sleep and, you know, having a fan going and like a nightlight and like white noise. All of these things are supposed to help like reduce
the risk,
but you don't know. Yeah. So like, I don't know.
I can only imagine how scary that would be.
Right. And it just terrified me. I mean, like, this is your whole entire fucking world.
Yeah.
And this tiny little human and like,
it's just up to them to keep going.
And like, you can't, you know, at least they're safe when they're in your belly for the most part.
Yeah.
And you can protect them. But like, once they're in the world, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
So like, there was just a lot of things I was really scared about. So I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. And to breastfeed, you have to eat. And like, I just didn't have time because I was so worried about her. I just wanted to hold her all the time. I didn't want her to be sad. I didn't want her to cry. Like, all of the things. Like, I just wanted to do everything I could for her. But doing that, like, I did nothing for myself either, you know? And I think that also, that's definitely postpartum. So eventually Bailey and I had gotten to a point where he and I did shifts on the weekends. So during the week he worked, I'm at home with Rowan. So I would let him sleep. I would get up with her every 2 hours to feed her. And then I would pump, and then I would clean my pump stuff and do all of that. So like at the end of doing everything I needed to do, I maybe got an hour of sleep in between her 2 hours before she needed to be fed again.
Wow.
And that wasn't true all the time. Like half the time I would just lay there on my phone, like watching, like checking her, looking at her. And so like I had extreme sleep deprivation. And so the weekends we did shifts. Like you came over and we were doing the shifts.
Yeah.
That was the first time you met her, right? I think it was.
I think for timing wise, that makes sense.
And so Bailey would stay up. One of us would stay up with her for like 3-4 hours. The other one would sleep. Then we would wake up the other person and swap. So like, because to me, I was like, somebody needs to be awake with her at all times. But then
if you want our life to get back on track, then you're going to have to work with me on this.
Yes.
Because I can't do it. This anxiety is crippling.
Yes, it was. But I felt good knowing she was with Bailey because he would wake me up if anything happened or he needed anything. But I could sleep. I couldn't sleep when it was just her and I. Like, I just couldn't do it.
And then that's your partner, so you know he's going to do everything he can to protect her with his life.
Exactly. So it was really, really tough. And then eventually it just kind of got better. I don't really know what changed.
I think it's more just like, you know, every day is another day that nothing happens.
And you get used to, like, your routine.
Yeah, and you get used to the fact that nothing's happened, and you get used to the fact that she's okay, and that she keeps being okay, and every day she's okay, and
the babies sleep more too.
Yeah, and I think then you get to sleep more, and I think your brain kind of starts to get back to normal a little bit.
Yeah, the first night I remember so like vividly. She slept for 5 hours straight. That was the first ever chunk of time she slept like that. I woke up in a sheer fucking panic. Like, I was so scared that something was wrong because she didn't wake me up. And then, like, I flew out of bed and I, like, grabbed her. I touched her. And, like, she still had, like, her reflexes. So she, like, jumped when I touched her. And I was like, oh, thank God.
She's like, Mother.
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck?
Mother, you scared the shit out of me.
The literal shit.
I was literally having the best dream, Mother. You don't understand.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, you just slowly kind of, you reassure yourself. The situation gets more reassuring. You get a little more sleep. Things start to change. They become easier too, because you learn your baby. You learn what they need, what their cries mean, stuff like that.
You learn how to be a different person now that you're a mom.
Right. So
that's
a learning curve.
In a nutshell, what postpartum anxiety is.
For me, that's what it was. One of the facts that I read is that around 1 in 7 women are affected by postpartum.
Wow.
Whether it's the baby blues, depression, or psychosis. So like postpartum depression, anxiety is commonly confused with or mistaken for baby blues in the beginning, because like they kind of did to me. They just were like, well, it just lasted. It'll last for a couple weeks and you'll be okay. But actually, postpartum depression and anxiety can start up to a year after childbirth.
Really?
And then also, did you know that postpartum depression exists in other parents as well?
Like what?
So like paternal postpartum depression is a real thing. They can have the same negative effects as in like moms for dads. So like
Bailey could have postpartum depression.
He started to kind of struggle from it after however many weeks of like watching me go through it, and he started feeling all of the same things I was feeling.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Right. And then postpartum psychosis. So that's a little bit more rare. That's a rare condition. But it's things like feeling confused and lost, having obsessive thoughts about your baby, hallucinating and having delusions, having sleep problems, which a lot of this is like, maybe I had fucking psychosis because I didn't have hallucinations or like delusions or anything like that, but I had the sleep problems. Having too much energy and feeling upset, feeling paranoid, making attempts to harm yourself or your baby, which I never did that, but that's a real thing. Yeah. I know somebody who had this big time because she tried to leave her baby in a parking lot at a mall. Because she didn't bond with her child. That disconnect it was so big that she just didn't care.
Wow.
Yeah. So like some of the causes too, other than like the hormone drop, can be genetics, physical changes, and like emotional issues too. And that hormone drop is such a huge thing. Like I think that really is big. But I feel like I have always kind of struggled with anxiety and depression. So I was worried for that to happen to me because I almost was like predisposed to those things, but we do want to say that if you have suicidal thoughts, you should contact your medical provider immediately or call or text the Suicide Crisis Service number at 988 or the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline at 1-833-TLC-MAMA or 1-833-852-6262 if you need help. Because
that is very good information to have.
I think it is. Like, you never know when you're going to need it. And people are there for you. You are not alone. Everybody goes through this with their children, whether it's on the same level as some or different levels. But just remember, like, during those late night feeds and when you're up all night with your baby, remember that you will come to a day where you'll never have to deal with that again. With your child. You're going to get to a point where they don't need you like they do now. And that kind of is what got me through it. And also knowing that you're not alone. Like, you might feel like you are, but there are millions of moms out there, probably,
like you said, 1 in every 7.
Up with your child in the middle of the night, feeding your child at the same time. Like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the biggest thing I wanted to like touch on.
Make sure that's clear. Yeah, I feel like I've got a pretty decent grasp on the whole situation, except for the whole, like, what makes you depressed? I understand that it's the hormones that drop, but, like, are you depressed about the fact that you're a mom?
No, it's not that you're depressed about the fact, like, you're a mom, but, like, you feel like, so you cry too much. You have difficulty bonding with your baby. You can withdraw from family and friends, which is, like, something I did. You like aren't eating, you're not sleeping, so you have like that insomnia, or you can sleep too much too, I suppose that's like another thing. But you're you have a feeling of overwhelming tiredness and loss of energy. You have no interest, no pleasure in activities. It's very similar to depression, but you can feel like you're not a good mom too. Like that was a huge thing for me. Like I felt like I was not a good mom.
Okay. So when you think of the woman in that TikTok that I was telling you about, what do you think was going through her head? What do you think was making her so sad?
Potentially she could have been feeling very alone and felt like nobody was there for her. She could have felt like she's not a good mom, or she could have been sitting there crying because she's terrified if something's going to happen to her baby.
Wow.
Because, like, that's how I felt with Rowan. There were countless nights where I sat up rocking Rowan.
See, this is exactly what I wanted out of this episode. Was like, I went into it. I'm ignorant. I don't understand what this is or how it works. I know it's a thing. I know it's valid. I just don't understand it. I want to understand it.
Yeah.
So that I can, further extend the knowledge to other people. And so, like, I feel like now I get it. And
Good.
I mean, like, it's just so sad that women have to go through so much already with the whole labor, the whole pregnancy, childbearing, the birth, everything. And then they also have to experience potentially really dark days afterwards. It's just...
Some women have
not
it so
fair.
bad where they don't even remember their babies as newborns. They don't remember
That's
things.
So heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. But
Yeah.
it gets better.
It does. It does get better. You will get through it. Yeah. Just remember you have people there for you. There's always somebody to talk to, whether it's a doctor or, like I said, one of those numbers. But also don't isolate yourself. Talk to people. Let people know how you're feeling, because people can't read your mind.
Exactly. Like,
and this,
with me,
we're a prime example of that. I didn't tell you what was going on, and how would you ever know?
And I'm not mad at you, and I'm not mad at you at all for that happening by any means, shape, like, at all. But I am sad to think back that, like, that was only 6, 7, 8 months ago that you were going through that, and I had no idea. No idea. And I just wish I did. I would have helped. I would have come out here every weekend and done my part to help. But as it stood, I was just like, she's probably, in my mind, I'm thinking, Bree is very popular. She's got a lot of people that love her. So there's probably a lot of people that are going up there and seeing the baby. And
no one came around. The only people that came around were, like, Taylor came around quite often.
I mean, I would think so. She's her aunt.
And then Bailey's dad came by a handful of times too. But I mean, other than that, like, people just came by. There were a few people that came by a few times. And then that was kind of it. Gotcha. And then other people, we just had to, like, bring her to them.
Yeah. See, my plan was, I was like, I'm this is all just me assuming that, you probably have a decent amount of people that are stopping by, every day, every other day or so to, say hi, check on you, see the baby. And my plan was to visit and then let some time pass between each visit so that, I could, like, really see her growing, because I feel like if I'm here every week, I'm not going to notice the changes that much. Right. Whereas when I came, I think I came at 3 months and then again at 5 months, maybe closer to 6. I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
But I remember being like, yeah, holy Hannah, she's growing. She's growing. But, like, that
Rowan.
That's what I wanted, was like, I wanted to be involved enough to where I could be a part of her life so that she knew who I was, because I'm going to be a part of her life forever. Right. But especially during this time, because she's just little. But, like, I just didn't want to get in the way, I guess.
No, I get it.
And then now we've got this, which is amazing, because now I'm getting to see her every other week. And it means a lot. That is something, too, I wanted to say, is that with the whole postpartum category in general, whatever specifically you're going through, I feel like some people might come at you and say, like, just remember, baby, you are going to miss these days. When you look back and you don't have these days where you're holding your little baby, you're going to miss them. So you appreciate them while you've got them. I feel like that invalidates people. And that's not cool.
Yes and no, because... So for me, it didn't. When people told me that, I wanted to be like, fuck you. But at the same time, it's kind of what got me through it. Knowing, like, this might fucking suck, but I only have to do this for so long. And like I said before, is there will be a day where she does not need me like she does now.
Yeah.
There will be a day where she is not wanting me to hold her or like being very needy. You know, like tonight, how she kept reaching for me when she was playing in her car.
Yeah.
But she still wanted to play with her car, but she wanted to make sure I was right there.
She wanted to be sitting next to you, but also be able to play with her car.
Yes. And like there will be a day where she doesn't want that anymore, where she's not going to give a shit where I am. And, like, that got me through, I think, a lot.
I guess I just meant, like, I would hate for anyone in a, like, for example, like, not that this happened at all, but, like, let's say your mom, for example, were to be like, Brianna, stop crying.
Oh, that would piss me off.
Stop crying, because, like,
I'd be like, get the fuck out of my house.
You're gonna think back to this and regret being so sad during this whole time. Because this is the time where she's growing and you're missing it out. You're missing out on it because you're crying all the time.
Yeah, that kind of shit's fucked up.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't want to invalidate people.
No,
like,
no,
you're
no,
valid for being sad during this time, but also, yeah, remember that the sadness is only going to last so long, and so is this period.
You grow through what you go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if there's anything I stand on, it's that.
I'm sad.
I'm sad.
Well, shall we jump into our advice question?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So, from Emily. I've recently started a new job, and while I'm excited about the opportunity, I'm struggling to find my place within the team. It feels like everybody else already has their established roles and friendships, and I'm having trouble fitting in. How can I integrate myself better into the team and feel more comfortable in my new workplace? Miss Emily, girl, I have been there. Been fucking there.
Yeah?
But I think everybody kind of does in a new job and, like, feels those things.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta just do it.
So...
you just got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of funny because when I started my current job, I was coming from Subway and it was so chat. Everybody's always constantly talking.
Little fucking yappers.
So much going on all the fucking time working at Subway. So when I switched into an office job, I was so fucking excited to be silent.
Have quiet. Peace and quiet.
Not have to talk to anybody. So I would sit at my desk, and if I needed to talk to somebody, I would email them. Bitches down the hall.
Email's easier.
I'm going to email you, guru. And so I just really leaned into that because it's just what I really wanted. And slowly but surely, I grew relationships with people, and now it's 2 to 3 years later, and I'm at the point where it's like I've got a hefty amount of friends that I work with. Yeah, so that was kind of how I went about it. I was just like, I just wasn't in the mood to get to know these people. So but that was just because I was coming from such an aggressively fast-paced kind of situation that I was
you just
ready
needed
for
the break.
Chill. Yeah, but I think eventually you do really just have to try to put yourself out there, and I think the best thing you can do in this situation is to try to pinpoint someone, because that's kind of what I did.
That's kind of what I did too in my experience. I was like, we're similar, at least from what I've gathered.
Yeah,
I think we should talk.
Yeah,
and then just kind of put yourself out there.
I mean, especially if you're still like pretty new. You could just even casually, while you're working, just be like, yeah, when I was working at the last place you worked at, this happened or that happened or whatever, and then it lets them know a little bit more about you. That's where you came from. That's the last job you had.
Or try to relate to.
Yeah, and if they say anything, try to relate to what they're saying. Try to keep the conversation going. I lucked out because when I told the girl that I'm close with at work that I came from Subway, she was like, "Where?" And I was like, "There." And she was like, "I used to work at the store right next to there." And I was like, "I did too." That's crazy, because I work a lot of jobs.
You make connections with people, and you'll find something where you can really
Yeah, you just have to try. You just got to find someone that makes you feel like I could be comfortable talking to her or him.
That could be my friend. Yeah. I would consider that person a friend.
I could see that person being a friend. And also,
or you'll end up leaving and have 0 friends.
Yeah, and that's
okay too.
That's possible too. Some people are really headstrong about how you shouldn't get too close with your coworkers because then it blurs the line between your professional life and your personal life. And some people don't really like that thinking. But whatever works best for you, if it's one way or the other, just, do what you think you need to keep that vibe. Is that making sense?
Yes.
And then, just stay steadfast on that journey.
You'll be fine. You'll make friends in no time.
Because if you're trying to get really personal with these people, then you'll get personal once as the comfortable.
It'll happen.
But if you're trying to keep it more surface level, you'll be able to do that too with the stuff that you're choosing to talk about.
Right.
So,
good luck to you, Emily.
Yes,
you got this, girl.
Best of luck, Emily. We really hope that you make some really good friendships and connections.
And enjoy your new workplace.
Yeah, we hope it's fun. We hope it works out for you. Hopefully all the goodness comes to you through this job.
We just want the best for you.
Yes, indeed. But I wanted to thank you for opening up about your journey with postpartum.
Of course.
And explaining it to me.
Well, and I like the fact that we have, kind of like you said to me over text, we have a platform.
No matter how big or small, we have one now.
We do. And let's talk about some of these things. Like, let's shed light on these things. And I think it's important. So thank you for listening and letting me yap.
Because I've heard of people talking about this kind of stuff, but not so much that it's like I'm understanding it. And then I ended up in a situation like I was last night where I was like, why is she crying?
Like, what the fuck is wrong with her?
What's wrong with her? I saw his fingers move. He's fine. Like, he's fine.
He's alive.
But it's like, no, I get it. It's like, no, she's just going through it. And
she's in the trenches.
She's in
the trenches of motherhood.
But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned something.
And if you have experiences with postpartum and tips, tricks, anything, put it in. If you're watching on YouTube or anything, like, put it on our comments.
Yeah, open the discussion with each other.
Or send an email in too if you want to talk about your experience.
Yeah.
Or if you need advice and you're going through stuff.
If you need advice about postpartum or anything like what Emily had, you can send us an email at dramaticafpod@aol.com.
AOL.
I spaced for a second in my brain. But yes, dramaticafpod@aol.com, and put the word advice in the subject line. Just so we can keep our inbox nice and organized, because I'm an organized girly.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. But I think that's all we got for this week.
Yeah. Have a really great Wednesday or whatever day you're listening
on. Yeah.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for coming back for another Dramatic AF episode. We will see you next time. We salute. This is Dramatic AF signing off.
What he said.
Fuck is wrong with me?
It's fine.
Bye.